Imagine a world without clocks, calendars, or borders. A world where we moved with the seasons, following herds and ripening fruit. Our days were measured in moments, not hours worked. We woke with the sun, slept under the stars, and lived free from the anxieties of mortgages or taxes. Life wasn't simple, but it was rich. Our diet varied, our bodies strong, our knowledge of nature immense. If one food source failed, there were always others. We were generalists, not tied to a single crop. Socially, our world was flat. No kings, no permanent leaders, no hoarding of power or food. Everything was shared, survival depended on the group, and leadership was earned, not inherited. We lived in small, intimate bands, free from deep inequality. Large-scale warfare was rare. Disputes might lead to skirmishes, but the world was vast and humanity small. If conflict arose, we could simply walk away. This was our world for most of our existence, a surprisingly stable chapter in the human story. Then, everything changed. The freedom to roam, the equality, the resilience, these would soon be lost. The seeds of a new world were about to be planted. And with them, the story of humanity would take a dramatic turn. The age of foragers was ending. The age of farmers was about to begin. The Great Change began quietly. In the Middle East, our ancestors started tending wild wheat, clearing rocks, pulling weeds, protecting the crop. They thought they were domesticating wheat, but wheat was domesticating them. Farming required us to settle, to stay and tend the fields. We traded nomadic freedom for a hut and a plot of land. The world shrank from endless horizons to the edge of the village. Farming was grueling. Long hours, repetitive labor, and constant worry about the harvest. A single drought or plague could mean starvation. The hunter-gatherer had options, the farmer had only one. Why did we persist? Each step seemed logical. Clear more land, raise more children, feed a growing population. Soon there were too many mouths to return to the old ways. The forests and herds could no longer support us. We were trapped. The agricultural revolution wasn't a leap forward for most. It was a slow, subtle trap. We gained more food but lost our freedom. The bargain was made and there was no turning back. The age of the farmer had begun. Our fate was now tied to the soil. The world would never be the same. The trap had closed, and humanity was changed forever. The revolution was complete, but at what cost? Agriculture was a catastrophe for the human body. Early farmers were shorter, less healthy, and suffered from nutritional stress. Their diets, based on a few starchy crops, lacked essential nutrients. New diseases flourished in crowded, unsanitary villages. Epidemics could now wipe out entire communities. Dental health declined. Cavities and gum disease became common. Repetitive farm labor led to arthritis, hernias, and worn-down bodies. The average farmer lived a shorter, sicker life than the forager. We gained calories but lost health and vitality. The population grew, but individual well-being declined. The agricultural revolution multiplied our numbers and our suffering. The cost of civilization was written in our bones. The price was steep. Before farming, land couldn't be owned. The forest, the river, the herds, these belonged to all. With agriculture, fields became property. This is my field. I planted it. The harvest is mine. Land ownership was born, and with it, inequality. Surplus food could be stored, traded, and accumulated. Some families prospered, others struggled. Those with surplus gained power, trading food for goods, labor, or loyalty. A new social structure emerged, a small elite living off the labor of many. Kings, priests, and soldiers appeared, supported by the farmer's surplus. Taxation began. Society became a pyramid, not a circle. Wealth and status became hereditary. The children of landowners inherited fields. The poor inherited debts. Social mobility faded. The world of equals was gone. Agriculture rewired society, creating rich and poor, rulers and ruled. The seeds of social injustice were sown. The flat world of the forager was lost. Hierarchy became the new order. The gap between haves and have-nots widened. The foundation of inequality was set. The consequences echo to this day. The revolution was not just in the fields but in our very structure. The age of hierarchy had arrived. Farming brought new anxieties. Would the rains come? Would the crops survive? But the greatest threat was now other humans. Fields and granaries became targets for theft and raids. Villages built walls and watchtowers, transforming open landscapes into fortified settlements. Warriors emerged, men who fought, not farmed, fed by the farmer's surplus. Warfare became organized, large-scale, and deadly. Rulers conscripted armies, conquered lands, and enslaved populations. Losing a war now meant losing land, freedom, or life. The surplus of farming fueled the engine of war. Kings and generals gained power by promising security. Taxes funded armies and walls. Laws were enforced with violence. The state was born, claiming a monopoly on force. The peasant was trapped, tied to land, subject to rulers, taxed and conscripted. The freedom of the forager faded into memory. Anxiety, hierarchy, and war became the new reality. The world was now divided by walls, physical and social. The age of worry had begun. The agricultural revolution transformed our relationship with the planet. We cleared forests, burned grasslands, and drained swamps to make fields. Biodiversity was replaced by monocultures, wheat, rice, corn. Countless species lost their habitats, extinctions followed. We waged war on wolves, insects, and weeds, anything that threatened our crops. Plowing and overuse eroded soil, turning fertile lands into deserts. Rivers were diverted, landscapes reshaped, and ecosystems destroyed. Domesticated animals stripped vegetation and polluted water. Methane from herds began to alter the atmosphere. We became a geological force, changing climate and land on a global scale. The harmony of the past was shattered. The scars of agriculture are still visible on Earth today. Our quest for food left a wounded planet. The cost of civilization was paid by the Earth itself. Despite its costs, agriculture laid the foundation for civilization. Surplus food allowed people to specialize: potters, metallurgists, architects. Villages grew into cities, hubs of innovation and exchange. New technologies and ideas flourished. Cities required new systems, money, laws, governments. Human cooperation scaled up, enabling massive projects and armies. Agricultural societies could outcompete and absorb foragers. The collective power of cities was immense, even if individual lives were harder. Farming societies expanded, conquering the world. The agricultural way of life became unstoppable. Civilization, for better or worse, was born. The future belonged to the farmers. Agriculture gave rise to writing, first for taxes, debts, and rituals. Writing allowed information to be recorded, shared, and preserved. Knowledge could now grow across generations. Laws, science, and philosophy became possible. Libraries, universities, and the printing press followed. Each step fueled exponential growth in knowledge and technology. Today we live in a world of wonders: space probes, genomes, global networks. All of it traces back to that first field of wheat. The surplus of food made full-time thinkers and inventors possible. The story of civilization is the story of information. We are the children of the agricultural revolution, living in a world of science, technology, and global society. We've conquered famine and plague but faced deep inequalities, endless wars, and environmental crises. The ghost of the hunter-gatherer haunts us, a longing for freedom, nature, and community. We cannot go back. 7 billion people depend on this system. The question is not whether we can undo the past, but how we can learn from it. Can we mitigate the ancient curses of inequality, war, and destruction? We traded freedom for power, contentment for ambition. Was it a tragic mistake, or a necessary step? The answer isn't fixed. It's a question for each generation. We live with the consequences of a choice made 10,000 years ago. The story of humanity is still being written.